Welcome to One More Page. This is Julie in another of my Reading Repercussions series where I talk about one major takeaway from a book I've read sometime in the last month. So this time I'm talking about Michael Crummey's Sweetland. This is Michael Crummey's a Newfoundland author, one of his latest books, or his most recent book, and I'm excited to share my big takeaway. First, let me just say that there's a little context here with Michael Crummey. I actually first read Michael Crummey before he had written any of his novels. I was in my fourth year of university, and I was taking a Canadian poetry class, and we were kind of going across the landscape through poetry of Canada, and our Newfoundland piece of poetry or work of poetry was Michael Crummey's Hardlight. And I just fell in love with it. And in fact, what ended up happening during that course is I was emailing Michael Crummey. I had found his email online, and he was responding in these beautiful, eloquent responses that I would bring to class and read with my class, and we had this ongoing dialogue between our class and Michael Crummey because he was just such an incredibly nice person. And so willing to engage with us while we were enjoying his poetry. And it sparked me to then, after that fourth year, the following year, to move to Newfoundland to do my master's and just really immerse myself in Newfoundland Lit. And of course, he's gone on to write so much more amazing literature. So that's a little backstory with me and Michael Crummey. So anytime I see a new one of his books come out, I get incredibly excited. It takes me back to that wonderful time. So my one big takeaway from Sweetland by Michael Crummey is this idea about how sometimes when we read, what we read or how we read mimics what we are reading. So, for example, in Sweetland, the heart of the story is Moses Sweetland, who has been asked to relocate. He's on an island, also by the name of Sweetland, that is being relocated, and this has been an actual practice in Newfoundland in part of its history. Is that sometimes the islands or some outports, it's more feasible to try to move people inland and so closer to the mainland. So he's kind of asked to do this, but he doesn't want to leave, and he's conflicted. And so, as I was reading this, I noticed that I was reading it so incredibly slow. Normally, I would read, about a book a week, but this took me over a month to get through. And it wasn't that I wasn't reading it, it's that I was just reading it in very small amounts because I, like Moses, just didn't want to leave Sweetland. And I wanted it to go on forever. It was just in so much, the book was in so much of the vein why I love Michael Crummey. So beautifully, so poetically written, touching on such simple, seemingly simple daily things that we all experience, but in this profound way that tragedy somehow lies behind it all as well. So I just didn't want to leave. So that's my big takeaway, is thinking about sometimes when how we read mimics what we read. Thanks for listening.